Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I'm Aisha Khatib, a licensed psychologist, and today we will be talking about triggers. We all hear people saying that Fulani alini trigger or I was triggered, but what does it actually mean? Triggers are part of self-awareness. It is part of knowing who you are. A lot of us think of triggers as a negative thing, but they are actually not. Self-awareness is the ability to look at your life without any attachment to being wrong or right, or good or bad. That is by Debbie Ford. And triggers are a big part of self-awareness. When you know your triggers, you have completed half part of knowing who you really are. Triggers are a portal into the past. They are a portal into what remains unsolved in the past. They are unhealed wounds that show up as overreactions. How do you get triggered? You might ask yourself. Or how does being triggered look like? When you get triggered, you might become rude or offensive. These are the common symptoms of when you get triggered. You become rude and offensive. You become defensive, or you attack somebody by making accusations. For example, somebody tells you, you are not qualified, and you said you're the one who's not qualified. Or you stomp out of a situation. And how does it happen? When does it happen? A trigger occurs when something happens around you or something happens to you that provokes disappropriately strong emotions. That provokes a disappropriately strong emotions that digs emotions that have been hidden back to the surface. Okay, so when we say that it provokes a disappropriately strong emotion, it means that the emotion that you are displaying when you get triggered it does not go in line with what has been done. For example, the makanga in a matatu tells you, give me money, you're making me late, give me money right now. And you overreact by abusing them and asking them, why are you mbona unaniharakisha? Why are you talking to me in a disappropriate manner? And actually they weren't talking to you in a disappropriate manner. So the reaction is not appropriate to the action that happened. That is what we mean when we say it was disappropriate to the emotion. And the thing that happens is that your heart starts racing and you become emotionally reactive. You become like a bomb. It's like it was a ticking bomb waiting to explode, and that's how you become. Let me give you another example. For example, you raise your hand, you're at work or you are at uni or any learning institution, and you raise your hand, and that specific day the lecturer or your boss doesn't pick you to answer the question, and you raise your hand 10 times. So what this does to you is that it elicits an emotion, a false emotion that you are not capable. And this comes from the past. We said it is a portal from the past. This comes from the past. Maybe when you are young, your mom or dad chose your siblings over you continuously. And this made you feel unwanted or incapable. And this is the same thing you feel in your heart that the lecturer is doing. If you are somebody confrontational, you would start confronting the lecturer and saying, hey man, I raised my hands 10 times and you didn't choose me. That's so unfair. And you start making noise in the class. And if you're somebody who's unconfrontational, this makes you feel so sad, and it ruins your whole week or your whole mood, and you go into a hole of self-pity. This ruins your entire mood, and it shows when you go back home. So this is when we say it provokes a strong emotion, because you feel, and why does this happen? Because it takes you back in the past where you felt unwanted, where you felt incapable. Okay, so this is what we saw when we say it it's unresolved. It takes you back to unresolved issues from the past. And why are they unresolved? Because maybe at that time you weren't psychologically equipped to handle those situations. And being an adult right then, you are equipped, and that's why you are defending yourself, or that's why you're feeling this negative emotions rush over you. If you sit and analyze, you will realize that the triggers that you have take you back into the past, of course, but the people who trigger you have the same behaviors and characteristics as the people whom you have the most conflicted relationships with from the past. For example, if you had a conflicted relationship with your dad or your mom, and they used to do certain things, and somebody else comes close to do the thing that they were doing, for example, shout at you, even if it's not really shouting, you become defensive. You become the things that you say, you become defensive, or you accuse them, or you stomp out of the situation, because it takes you back to when the thing happened in the past. So triggers are actually, you are being triggered, but it's not actually about what is happening in the present. It unconsciously takes you back to the past. Imagine that we are continuously quarreling and having conflicts, and all these conflicts are about what happens to us, what happened to us in the past. They're not about the actual present. So what can we do about it? Triggers are, and I feel like we view them in such a negative light, but if we are open and non-judgmental towards them, they're actually our teachers. They teach us who we really are and what issues we have. They are an invitation to heal our wounds, to self-reflection, and to self-growth. So what can we do next when we are triggered? First, as Muslim, alhamdulillah, we have solutions in our sunnah. When you get triggered, say, A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. If it triggers your anger, you say that, you drink water. If you're standing, you sit. If you're sitting, you lay down. Or you go drink water if all of that doesn't work. Secondly, you pause before the reaction. When you feel triggered and you notice your emotions rising and you notice your heart start beating fast, I'm sure all of us go through this and we wonder what's wrong with us. It is a trigger that is taking you back to what happened in the past, a certain incident. You might even know what specific incident it was, but your brain remembers. So when that happens, you try to pause between the action and the reaction. Thirdly, you reward yourself whenever you are able to push through that. When you're able to pause between the action and the reaction, acknowledge your win, because it's not easy. Sometimes you will lose and sometimes you will win. And once you keep practicing, you will get better at it, because our work is to observe our triggers and breathe through them consciously without letting ourselves be reactive. So when you continuously practice, you become better at it. And when you do, reward yourself, acknowledge that win in your heart. So that is what we can do to handle, to manage our triggers, because no matter how grown we are, we cannot prevent ourselves from being triggered, because things happen to us that we weren't equipped to deal with them at that time, that resurface back, the feelings resurface back to us in the present. And our work is to use them to know who we are, to work through it, and continuously have self-restraint instead of reacting, being defensive, abusing others. Our work is to breathe through it, as I said, and not be reactive. So once we get through learning our triggers and using our triggers as teachers, we can be able to be better behaved individuals, because a lot of us may be well mannered, but once we are triggered, we turn into monsters, or we turn into other people, somebody who is monstrous. I'm sure all of you go through this. So if you can conquer your triggers, you can be a better Muslim, and you can be a better behaved individual. With that said, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.